Hi there, it's Cab again. For those that remember me from my first attempt at making a video in this sort of area, I did a review of the unpackaging the Shimano SPD PD Sh-mt34 pedal. And as promised then, I said I was going to give a quick review of, or an unpackaging review shall we say, of a shoe that I've bought to go with that pedal. Quick background on that pedal, if you're not quite sure what the M324 is, it's a multi-sided pedal in that you've got a flat on one side and you've got the cleat attachment on the other, which gives you the best of both worlds if you want to do a bit of road, a bit of off-riding, or if you're new to cleats. The shoe that I've chosen to go with that, classed as a mountain bike shoe, I think it's going to be equally adequate for doing the road work I want to do on my Giant Revolt, because the Giant Revolt is a road and a trail bike, and it is predominantly a road bike, but it will go off-road, so I wanted a shoe that would match that. The shoe I wanted, ironically, was out of production, hard to trace. I eventually found it at a reasonable price from Evans Cycles. I tried other retailers. One retailer was looking at plus £70. Evans came in at sub 40, so I naturally enough chose those. Very hard to get in my size. I want the larger size 11 or a 46 European size. For those of us that have got the larger foot, shall we say, they are quite hard to get in those sizes now. Anyway, we'll have a quick look at it. Standard Shimano packaging, the big blue box. Inside the box you've got the obligatory big fact sheet. Important with this actually, because obviously if you don't put the shoe on properly or don't set the shoe up properly, it could be quite dangerous on the bike, so it is important that you do read this. I know us blokes tend to like to just wade in without reading instructions, but I would say for your own safety have a quick glebbies at that. And inside then we've got our pair of shoes, obviously, which is what we wanted. Comes with all the usual packaging and padding. And there's also this little strip here with two stickies on it, which are quite important, and I'll show you the purpose of those a bit later on. To remove all the packaging from the shoe, don't go whacking your foot in and stubbing your toe on loads of tissue paper. The advantage of this shoe, as I see it, as I say, I'm going to be doing a bit of both predominantly on road, but a bit of trail riding as well, is that they've still got the good rigid sole that you need to get power to the pedal. Okay, they're not like a trainer flimsy, they are a good rigid sole, which is what you need, as you know, for when you're pedaling. When you're walking off the bike, you've got good grip, and the advantage of these as well is it's a recessed cleat area, so when you are walking you're not clip-clopping along with the cleat proud of the sole, it is recessed in. Obviously a disadvantage of that is if you're off-road, certainly you are going to get a certain amount of muck and crud building up inside this recess, and as the instructions do point out, it is quite important that if you have walked off the bike, getting back on it, make sure you do clean that area out quite thoroughly, because it will interfere with the fitting of the cleat onto the pedal. The upper shoe is good and flexible. My current bike shoes are quite rigid up top here. There's quite a bit of flexibility there, which is obviously the mountain bike aspect of it, I suppose. Standard lacing system throughout, fairly easy to lace up, I would assume. I'm going to replace the laces with the quick lace system. For those that haven't seen it, it's just basically a long piece of elastic goes in there with like a clip comes down over the front and fits the whole thing in. Very quick to get off and get on, but very secure when you're riding. That's the important thing. These are a size 46, as I said, quite large, but a decent shoe. Well, they appear to be a decent shoe. Got the good tab at the back there for pulling them on and off. What I intend to do is fit my own cleats to these. As I said on my previous video with the pedals, I've got the M-rated aluminium cleats, which are really good for pulling out of the binding quickly. And what I will do is I will need to obviously remove this part here to enable me to do that. And that is also when you've fitted the cleat onto the sole of the shoe, that's where these things come in. They fit internally, and I'll show you those a bit later on. As I said then, I'm going to be fitting my own cleat onto these. The first thing we need to do to enable us to do that is to remove this current fitting on here. In this instance, it's the Phillips type screw heads, the cross-headed screws. other cleat fittings, as the one I'm going to fit certainly, will be fitted with an Allen key, normally a 4mm Allen key. The first thing we've got to do then is obviously remove these screws and get this fitting off. And there it comes, free of there. In there's just 2 screws, no washers. However, if you notice on the screw thread, there is the blue Loctite. Not quite sure what they call it now. Certainly years ago when I was in my previous career, we used to, when we were fitting any screw fittings, I think we used a thing called Loctite B, which was blue, and it breaks basically when you apply pressure with a screwdriver or a spanner. It will break the Loctite free again, but stops basically friction vibration from working them free. As I say, they've got it fitted on there. There is no sprung washer on there to hold it in place, so I would suggest getting hold of some kind of a Loctite screw thread anti-friction or anti-vibration type adhesive. The cleat I'm going to be fitting is the aluminium M-rated Shimano. This is an SM SH56, which will work with the M324 pedal, obviously. That's the reason I've got them. They actually came with the pedal. I wasn't aware of that. When I ordered the pedals, I also ordered some of these from a separate company, thinking I would need them. As it is now, I've got 2 sets, but you know, obviously these could wear out, could break, so I'm going to keep them obviously as a spare set. But just be aware, if you order the M324 pedal, you will get the M-rated cleat. As I've explained on the pedal review, the advantage of this cleat is that it's a multi-positional brake on it. It's got the standard twist the ankle out brake from the cleat, from the binding on the pedal. It's also got the ability, should you just lift up on the shoe with a bit more force than you would do for normally pedaling, it will break free. Obviously that would depend on the setting on the binding on the pedal. However, it does give you that advantage of quickly getting out of it, which is more of a knee-jerk reaction, if you like, instead of slamming to a halt and suddenly ending up on the floor in a big mess. The advantage of that, obviously, for first-time cleat users, is that it gives them a bit more freedom. Or, in my case, I'm going to be going off riding, on trail, riding straight off the road. It will give me that advantage to quickly break free if I need to, before falling off. Or indeed, if I want to just go to the flat side of the M324 pedal. So to fit these then, you've got the cleat itself, the 2-hole spacer which goes inside the cleat, and finally you've got the screw, well, sorry, 2 screws in this case. Unlike the fitting I've just taken off of the shoe, this screw will require a 4mm Allen key to insert it into the fitting. Fitting the cleat itself then. Before we do that, let's have a quick look at the cleat. Basically, there's a wrong way and a right way to fit it. This should be exposed. When you fit it to the sole of the shoe, you should be able to see all this writing here. The big heads up here, you've got on top of it, you've got a triangle facing forward. The tip of that triangle faces towards the toe basically, and the M at the rear, facing towards the rear of the shoe. Inside the cleat you've got the recessed part where the 2-hole spacer will fit. When you fit the 2-hole spacer, just make sure you get it so you've got the recessed parts as well to take the head of the screw. Okay, that's countersunk, so that when the screw goes in, it's not actually proud of the fitting. It should fit into those little recesses, into the countersunk part. On the reverse of the cleat, you've got this serrated edge. That's going to bite into the sole basically. Once you tighten it up, that's going to give us the grip into the sole of it to stop it moving around left and right, because there is, as we said, with the plate in the sole, there is plenty of movement left, right and up and down. What we don't want, when we've finally got our fitting to fit correctly, so it's suited to our needs on the pedal, we want it to stay there, and that's what this will allow it to do. If you're lucky, you can take the old fitting off and put this straight on. However, what you will find is that this plate here does float once you take the fittings out. It moves up, down, left and right, and will actually disappear because it's only internally in the shoe. The only thing that's stopping it moving at the moment really is the insole. Now if you're lucky, as I say, you can put it straight in as is. If you find it starts to float around, which it may well do, it's easier to take out the insole and if you look in there now, you can see those two slots there. That is basically that part there, and as you can hear, the plate inside just dropped out, in fact. Now it's easier to take the plate and hold it in position. Now it's a multi-positional plate and it'll go up in either way basically. What you've got is those two U-shaped cuttings into this plate. And all you're going to do is when you put it in, make sure that the screw holes, i.e. these raised portions here, are facing down towards the sole. And all we do is we put it back into the shoe so that it's over the two slots there. Once we've done that, we can hold it in position with our fingers and we can position the cleat. I'm going to be using, in this instance, the rear two holes, but it's entirely up to you. Whether you want to, you can use the front set or the rear set. Take your spacer bar, place that in the recess inside the cleat, so we can still see the two screw holes that we want. And we take one of our screws and place it in through the cleat, through the spacer, into the first hole. So it's easier to do this probably sat down with the shoe on your lap, to be honest. I'm just trying to do it for effect in front of the camera here. Conventional screw, it tightens up clockwise. And we take, once we just got it to bite, take the second one, so it gives us that little bit of freedom of movement still. Don't tighten it up too much. Take the second one, place that in, and do the same again. Tighten it clockwise. Just be aware of cross threading. I think it's quite hard to cross thread these, to be honest, but just be aware. If you're meeting resistance, as soon as you start to tighten the screw, stop, because you are probably going to cross thread it. You're going to have to, there is another set of holes, I appreciate it, you can use at the front, but you may damage the screw as well as the internal thread on the plate. So if you meet any resistance at all, stop, take it out, start again. It can be a little bit fiddly. What I would do is then fit the plate, tighten both up, and then it's going to be literally getting out on the bike, bit of trial and error here, and seeing where it fits best on the pedals, which suits me. As I say, you've got lateral movement both left and right with the cleat itself, and on the plate itself you can go backwards and forwards. So you can actually get the position of your choice. Once you find that, i.e. going out on the bike, quick trial and error, tighten it up finally. As I said, if you want to, get some Loctite for the screw threads. Before you do that, obviously you don't want to lose the position of the cleat. You can take one screw out at a time, put the Loctite on, put that back in, then take the other one out. What I would suggest you do as well, if you're going to remove this for any reason, like cleaning the shoe or whatever, is to just get a pencil and draw around the cleat there, so you've got an image of it, so you can put it back in the same position again. Right, that's the cleat fitted. Once you've finally got it fitted, the next thing you need to do is, you can see you've got these two open holes still here and here, and there's quite a large gap around this hole within the sole. What we've now in effect got is a gap in our sole for waterproof. Okay, and I appreciate that normally if I get my feet wet, it doesn't really bother me, I just crack on, but I don't want to purposefully get them wet if I can help it. As you can see, there's the two holes just inside the shoe. What we need to do now is take these two black labels that I showed you earlier. Now it does show you in there what to do. You've got to remove the insole, as I've already done anyway, to fit the cleat. you peel off one of these stickers. The part that's dotted there is what's actually going to go over that oblong hole there, but internally, obviously, inside the shoe. But you put the whole sticker on, but you must make sure that part, if you can, is centrally placed. This whole thing will then go onto the sole, covering up those two holes inside the shoe, and then all we need to do is reinsert the insole, and that should hopefully make it a bit more waterproof. I'm not quite sure, I haven't road tested these yet, how robust this will be, whether it will let an ingress of water, I'm not sure. If it does, I'll just try something else a bit more robust. But that should hopefully stop any ingress of water, and once that's been fitted, all we need to do is replace the insole and we're good to go. Obviously doing both shoes the same. As I say, I'm going to be putting on some elasticated laces with the clip that comes down, so they're easy on and off. And I want to get out on the road and try them. Hopefully the weather's going to be picking up a bit soon. I'm going to get my pedals fitted, get my shoes fitted, and I'm going to go a road test, and I will be coming back on here to let you know how they perform. As I say, they are a discontinued shoe, but they are, to me, they're a very, very good shoe, and if you can find them, they're at a very good price at the moment. So certainly worth getting a pair if you can find them at the right price. Okay, my next video, I intend to show you how to fit the pedals, and then we'll look at obviously adjusting the cleats accordingly to fit the pedal, and I'll let you know how that goes on, obviously. Thanks very much.